All right, everybody, welcome back to Wicked New England. This is a good episode for you tonight. Joined with me, as always, my co-host Anthony Trahan, John Batello.
Hi, guys.
All right, we got the prize fight of the century. We're talking good, we're talking evil, angels and demons. Let's get it on. All right, Anthony, why don't you take us away?
Well, I want to start off with a little bit of the history of angels and demons first. Now, being raised Catholic, I was always taught devil, God, Lucifer, and a little bit about that is that there was once an angel that started off the most beautiful angel in the world, everything going for him, but then he started getting a little bit of too much pride going on, and pride is considered one of the most deadly sins, or the 7 deadly sins I should say. So he got together some angels, little crew, started a war in heaven, and basically he lost. Him and his other angels were sent to live in hell. Lucifer had pretty much lost all of his beauty. He has been known now as what you look up whenever you look up the devil online, your standard image, ugly, horns, hooves. But overall, it's the aspect where they were sent down from heaven to live the rest of their eternity on hell. Now, angels and demons. First of all, do we believe in them?
John, why don't you take this?
See, I don't know. I guess from my perspective, it's kind of hard. On the one hand, I want to believe. On the other hand, I haven't really seen much proof, right? I've seen a lot of videos where you see, demonic possession, demonic activity at a haunted location. But I've never really experienced anything that really shows me definitively real or fake, right? That's why I feel like, I don't mean to be the skeptic of the group, but I mean, that's why I want some definitive answers, Like, have you guys seen anything that really shows you for a fact?
I
Yes
wouldn't
and no.
say I've personally seen anything demonic, so on that front I would say no, but maybe just on a spiritual level it is something that I do believe in. Sometimes believing, you just have to take blind faith in the matter. Of course I would have loved to catch proof of such things to just kind of reassure my faith, if you will. But yeah, I would go so far as to say I do believe in demons, and then obviously the flip side of the coin, angels as well. You can't have one without the other. Definitely I believe in a good and evil balance in the world.
I would like to say, just because I want proof doesn't mean that I want to deal with the demon. Just throwing that out there, that doesn't seem like a very fun time.
That's a fair point. I'd be interested to see what kind of things you find, or we find as a group, while investigating some of these places with alleged claims of demonic activity at some of them just spiritual activity. But that would be pretty fascinating to see.
Some history on the translation. The word demon actually does come from, I believe it was a Greek word that was just for spirits in general, good and bad, not just evil, right? So that's pretty interesting, I think.
And opening up that actually opens up a whole other conversation as well, which we'll tie into, I'm sure. Demons actually stem back in some religions, actually further than religion, I should say, in some cases, documented lore. So that brings up a whole nother discussion of, do you believe in organized religion, do you not? Christianity versus, Muslim, Judaism, anything like that, Hinduism. There's so many different religions out there, and each one has its own philosophy on angels and demons and how they view them.
Now, I do believe in angels and demons, and no, I've never seen one. I don't believe I would ever want to come across a demon as they are perceived. And then again, maybe we can question the angel aspect as well, because let's face it, if you see somebody that shows up with feathered wings in front of you, as we have heard it, it's probably going to freak you out just a little bit.
Just a little.
As far as my true answer though goes, I think it would have to sum it up with my next question of, do you believe in good and evil? Now, I do believe in good, even though we don't really see too much of it in the world today. I do believe in evil because that seems to be all we ever see today, all around us. And I mean, it does bring up the other aspect of, is it possible that's where we get the phrase hell on earth? So, 2 questions for you guys each. Do you believe in good and evil in general? And do you believe that possibly hell is on earth?
Well, I guess I can answer question 2 right off the bat. Personally, I don't believe hell is on earth. However, when it comes to good and evil, I do believe there's a balance in all things, light and dark, good, evil, however you want to express it. That could mean demonic and angels. That could mean good, evil. It could just mean, there's people who do bad things and there's people who try to live their life doing things most positively, I guess one thing that brings up for me as far as a question is every serial killer that's ever walked the earth like pure evil, or are they just people doing bad deeds? So that really kind of questions things like, do you believe in evil or do you believe in good? I guess I myself personally, I do believe there's evil because there's different degrees of bad, in my opinion. You have people like mass genocidal maniacs, and then that's, to me, falls in the evil bucket, whereas, a bar fight gone wrong that ends up in manslaughter is probably just a person making a bad choice, but I wouldn't say they're an evil person to their core. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I would go so far as to say I believe in good and evil.
I think what's tough for me, I see good and evil as a choice. Every day we wake up,
I agree with that.
Every day we wake up and kind of decide what we're going to do. In the sense of, when we're put in a situation, someone pisses you off at work, you can decide whether or not you want to go full scorched earth on them for a mistake, or if you want to have some empathy, be good, For some people, they happen to make those wrong choices more often than not, and other people, it's the opposite. That's the way I see good and evil. I don't necessarily think that we have some other force that's steering us into, you have to do good, you have to do evil.
I don't think it's necessarily steering us in a course. When I say evil people, I mean, there's the waking up making a bad choice, like, hey, I'm going to do drugs or I'm going to go rob this liquor store. That's a bad choice. That's a decision to do bad. But I don't think you begin to, consider wiping out, a whole race of people as, on a whim. Or a choice, like, hey, you know what? I didn't really like the Fruity Pebbles this morning, so I'm going to go this way. Sometimes I think people are legitimately rotten to their core, so the choices they're bound to make are just flat out bad.
Well, yeah, and I think you could go and say that they are evil people, but at the end of the day, I still think that that's from their own decisions.
Fair enough.
If they are rotten, they choose to be rotten.
I understand both sides of the argument for sure. This is one of those things, every one of us has to make that decision for ourselves based on faith. Do you honestly believe that a person did those things because they didn't have a choice, or just because they made the worst choice, of the century, throw in the World Series? But this isn't the Chicago Black Sox, so, I honestly believe some people maybe don't have a choice.
Fair enough.
And I kind of do agree with both aspects as well. I understand to look at hell and everybody being evil, that is a very, very rough situation, especially where we live in this world. I don't really see too much of that aspect where there is a positive, definitive good side and a positive, definitive bad side. I think anybody, like Andrew said, can have a bad day. I mean, none of us really know what the other person's going through. There could be personal things going on, and you accidentally happen to be the one to set somebody off. These are situations that come up regularly, and we see them. Really, we do see them every day. But it's just that matter of good, evil, devilish deeds, or heroic saints. And that leads me to the other question. Do you guys believe in demonic possession?
This one's a tough one for me, so I think I'll let you go first.
Personally, yes. To me, and that's just not because of sensationalized television or movies. You know, obviously I love horror movies that have to do with all that stuff, but I won't say that that's the reason why. But no, I do truly believe in the possibility of demonic possession of a human being. I don't think you can not believe in it if you believe in demons, first of all. It doesn't make sense to just believe a demon could exist and potentially, you know, not go that way. Certainly, depending on whatever religion you practice or don't practice, either way, that's your choice. It's up to you. You know, has different rules and archetypes within that, and rules that demons are allowed to follow or not follow, and what they can and can't do. So I think that's a tough one, just because it really comes back to personal opinion on faith, and you know, whatever your philosophy is on that sort of a thing. With as many religions as there are in the world, and as many possibilities as there could be, one of the things I actually want to touch base on later in this conversation is just, you know, the different rules per se when it comes to the subject to angels and demons, with some of those religions and how they differ, and then some similarities they share. But yes, long road to get there, but yeah, I do believe in demonic possession. But while I'm also touching base on that, I truly believe an angel could possibly inhabit a body if needed as well. A vessel, if you will. You know.
So what kind of circumstance would that be?
Truthfully, something I personally believe is honestly there's a constant battle, if you will, for good and evil. Like, I don't think we always see it. Most cases we don't. It's kind of fought in the shadows, if you will, behind the scenes. But I think just as a demon might grab a human being to try and perform some bad, there might be possibility for like a positive force or an angel to, you know, also inhabit a vessel who's maybe a devout worshiper, willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good, to fight that fight.
And I don't mean to cut you off before you said, but that was going to be part of my next question. Sainthood. Good deeds make you a saint in certain cultures and religions. Is it possible an angel, as he just said, has helped this person, whether it be by a possession in their own right, to do such good deeds and accomplish such great things? So I'm going to ask you both questions, considering Angel gave his.
Well, so I guess I'm just going to broaden it to talk about both questions. When it comes to spirit possession, I've seen a lot of studies that show that there is a correlation between mental illness and spirit possession. However, there are also studies that go and show that going to a psychologist isn't as helpful as going to a church or performing an exorcism. So that's where it becomes kind of sketchy territory, if you will.
And I think
Right.
that's subjective based on a person's core belief system, right?
I think so too.
Which is why in some cases going to your pastor or priest might do a lot more for you than going to a psychiatrist, psychologist. Not so much to discredit the other one, just for you personally, maybe that works better.
I think that's a pretty interesting kind of thing, though, where going and having an exorcism has been more, more helpful than going to, say, a licensed psychiatrist.
And let's say hypothetically, for the sake of argument, we'll say a religion is made up, let's say, okay? But people still believe in it, certain people, but we'll say that it 100% scientifically we know it doesn't exist. People are thinking they are possessed by demons. They go to the church. They have a stylized ritual, if you will, tricking the brain in a sense that, yes, you are possessed, but we're ridding you of the evil, and that works for them above and beyond, let's say, like what a psychologist could do. So, at the end of the day, what really matters if they both work? And how can you say it's not real if it does scientifically work? Because it in tunes with the person's psyche.
Well, I guess my view on religion, not to like
Yeah.
take out from the scenario, my view on religion is that religion can be very helpful for people. You know, I think some people need religion as that driving force. I mean, some people need to have that purpose that comes with religion, that community that comes with religion. And
Let me cut you off right there for a second. Folks, if something goes off a little bit awry with this video, it is in the middle of a thunderstorm right now where we're at. And my
we should've
power
said
is
that.
flickering. So there is a very,
Strange aspect where we're talking about
very
angels
strong possibility
and
we
demons.
lose power. However, the camera is running on battery. So the video will continue, but there's a good chance all the lights around us will not. So we're going to keep going. But if anything looks funny, it's not special effects for the sake of the camera. There's a good chance the power's getting cut pretty soon.
it does look pretty cool though when it's flickering and we're talking about demons and you know.
Anyway,
Maybe it's
you
not
were,
the storm.
you were saying?
I was just saying how I think religion can be a very helpful thing, regardless of whether you believe in a religion or not. I think there are many people in this world who need their community, who need that sense of understanding, that faith that they get from religion. You know, whether you believe in it or not, I think it can be a very helpful thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, 100%. And I'll say this too. Like, I personally don't care what people believe or don't believe. Each one of us is going to go through life believing what we do or don't, regardless of what anybody else tells us. You know, so whatever helps you get through the day, that's what you should do. You know, if worshiping Buddha is what works for you, do that. If worshiping God, a Christian God, is what works for you, do that as well. And honestly, on the other side of the table, if you're a Satanist, you know, if that's your thing and that's what works for you and that's what gets you through the day, you should do that. I'm definitely not up here to preach about what's right, what's wrong, what's make-believe or real. Everybody in this world has to make their own decision on that for themselves. And definitely on this channel, you're never going to get one of us telling you one way is right or the other. Absolutely, we're never going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on the internet needs three weirdos to just tell them how to live their lives.
Repent! Repent!
Yeah, I don't think we're the guys to get that info.
Definitely
from,
You know, if anything, we're the ones that'll probably give you multiple different options, different views to look at,
I'm sketchy at best.
and different aspects to consider things. I mean, on this whole aspect, I think that we are all different human beings. We all think differently. We all act differently. Our emotions run differently. So what's right for me might not be right for you, might not be right for him. And everybody's just different in what we need for ourselves. So, I mean, it's kind of a complex whirlwind, if you would, to try to pinpoint this. And this is a very challenging subject in alone. And we don't mean to upset any viewers that might be looking at this, but as Andrew did mention, we do want to have time to go through different cultures and different aspects of how they view things. I know my two counterparts here have done extra research regarding that matter, but I will get that too, and I will hand it over to them. However, there is another question that I did want to ask, and around how old were you guys when you first saw something, whether it be a TV show, movie, or anything actual where you believed in spirituality, angels, demons, or good, evil? I mean, roughly how old were you guys when you started actually thinking about this stuff?
7.
I have no clue what age I was. My sister and I used to watch a lot of Ghost Adventures. Shout out. But
That didn't come on until I was an adult. Old enough to drink beer.
Yeah.
we're going back to the age thing.
Kids.
Okay.
Kids.
Oh, just
Anyway.
as a thing,
Oh Jesus.
if you guys don't mind commenting about, what do you believe in angels, demons, spiritual possession? Please tell us.
Do
We'd
you
like to
think
know.
a demon should possess John?
I
If
don't
so,
think
I can find a place. I'm sure we can make this happen.
let's not do that.
Live demonstration. Podcast 666.
Whoa.
John gets
We're getting-
possessed.
Oh
Crazy.
boy. All right.
Did that throw
I
you
was
off?
also asking what made you have that
Well,
aspect as well.
we're going to kind of share that episode for another later episode. No offense, folks, but that's not what I'm ready to talk about today.
Suspense.
But let's just say things happen that made me believe. Seeing things with your own two eyes is 100% the kicker, right? Because when you see it and you can't debunk it and it really happened, you can't go back from that. You can't unsee it. You don't forget it. It sticks with you forever, and it's always going to be a part of you. So, yeah. So 7 years old, and we'll leave it at that for now. But yeah.
And John, you said you couldn't remember how old you were, but do you remember roughly what brought you into that, whether it be a TV aspect besides Ghost Adventures?
I just really liked watching those shows when I was younger,
All right.
to be honest.
So he's kicked back. He's holding his Capri Sun. He's watching Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He saw Angel walk in. He went, "Oh my God!" And since then, he was just hooked.
Sure, buddy.
Anyway, for me, I think I was probably maybe 6, 7 years old myself. And what made me actually think about Supernatural was actually a cartoon.
Scooby-Doo?
Ichabod Crane and the
Oh,
Headless
okay.
Horseman.
Yeah.
And even to this day, the fascination with the Headless Horseman story and essence, if you would, still fascinates me. And it's strange looking at things, even how things have changed. Seeing a lot of the different horror flicks that have come out regarding the matter, and even some of the corny B-rated movies that have come out with that matter as well. It's continuing on though. This is a question that was not mine, but I was asked to ask it, and I'm going to follow through. Is there a correlation between angels, demons, and children?
I've heard a lot of stories about where supposedly demonically haunted places will appear as children to try and put people off guard.
So, and I'm not discrediting that. It's a valid theory, with, I'm sure, definitely evidence to back it up in some cases. I personally don't believe there's necessarily a correlation between the two. I think a lot of times we see creepy ghost children spirits, if you will, or possibly demons. But if anything, I would say that that's just because if you were dead, let's say, and you were looking for somebody to possess or take over, would you find somebody who's an old man about to kick the bucket again? Or would you go after somebody who is young and had a lot of mileage left in the tank? And, sometimes I just take more of a practical, common sense approach to things. But I could say personally, if I was a spirit, if you will, or a demon or an angel, and I was looking to possess a soul or take over somebody or to wreak some havoc, you would prey upon the weak, because in most cases they're probably weaker, less strong-willed than an adult, and because they're not fully developed, but also they have the most life left in their bodies, the most energy. And anybody who's watched anything about ghost hunting shows or anything like that, or just people who investigate, spirits, if you will, are all about energy. In a sense, that's what they are. Some people believe they're actually souls of people. Some people think they're just masses of energy. They could literally drain the batteries in your camera or your flashlight, if you will. Well, a child, above all else, would have more energy than any other type of living being. So I firmly believe that's probably why that association exists. I don't think it's necessarily a specific thing other than the amount of energy within a soul, if you will. Or at least that's the way I think.
Now, as far as myself goes, I don't really think that there's a real correlation going back to the believing in good and evil. Do I think that there is potential evil in the world? Do I think that maybe demonic forces might play tricks on you, pulling at your heartstrings, if you would? If you're a parent, who are you going to most likely potentially risk yourself for? Old man, or maybe you're going to walk into a situation that you're not expecting because you're trying to help a child that you see needs help. Do I think that they might play tricks on your minds? Shadows, ghostly figures of a child? Yes, I think there is some. I haven't done a lot of research on this, but I believe there is something to that. I believe there has been some data collected to that theory. But do I believe that children in general are evil? No. Do I believe that there are angels? Hell no. Anybody that has a child knows they go through certain age phases where they are a little possessed in their own right, and maybe not the best. And sometimes they are the sweetest little thing, and as a parent, you always want them to be the best, and you don't want to ever think poorly of them. And I'm not trying to insult any parents out there. I'm just giving you my honest opinion.
Just fun story about demon children. I just kind of want to stop here for a second. I was taking a nap last Sunday, as I normally do, and I have a habit of, like, you know, throwing a movie on the TV, taking a nap on the couch, right? Nice Sunday before you go back to work on Monday, so you go back well rested.
That's a man activity.
That's right. My son put a bucket over my head while I was asleep. All right? Children do some creepy things, okay? You ever wake up with your head in a bucket? Let me tell you what, it'll shock you a little bit. How'd I get here? Right? So kids, they can do some demented things. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they're evil. 100% not. I love my son. But he does some weird stuff.
Now, this is an interesting question that I felt does need to be asked, especially and discussed between the three of us. Do you believe investigating, you are inviting something in, or making yourself more susceptible? What's the word I'm looking for? Thank you. To seeing something, or what's your thoughts?
So that's a tough one. Do you want to answer first, or do you want me to go first?
Well, I think in
Why don't you-
investigating, if we're finding stuff, I feel like we'll have a better idea of what to look for.
A demon turned it off!
Just kidding. Sorry for the technical difficulties. The camera overheated.
The joys of having a camera. Yeah. Okay, let's continue. Where'd we leave off?
Where did we leave off?
Narrator?
Kinda
Do you believe in the potential that we might be inviting something in doing these investigations?
Right. I mean, I think it's all about the more we investigate, the more we'll know what to look for. Right? So, not so much inviting, more so noticing, perhaps.
You ever hear the saying, ask for the devil and he appears?
Yeah,
Makes you wonder.
perhaps.
I don't think any of us are really going to know the answer to this question. I think we can answer with our gut as to what we think, personally. I don't think anything we're doing is inherently wrong, so I can't say one way or another that I think evil things are going to find me because I'm going out looking for evidence of paranormal activity. But I do believe that in the process of looking, I think maybe we're more likely to maybe find something. But I can't definitively say that's going to be something evil. Do I think there's more of a chance you can find something paranormal if you go out and look for it? Absolutely. Because if you weren't looking before, maybe you never took the time to notice what was there. And through more experience in these investigations, just as John was saying, we'll know what to look for. We'll be better equipped to say, oh, last time I thought that was that, but I know now that that's this. So, things like that. So I won't say that I'm worried that something's going to attach itself to me or that I'm gonna bring home like a demon with me to my house. I'm not saying those sort of things couldn't happen or it's not possible. That's not what I'm saying at all. Um, I'm just saying that I personally don't think it's a one-to-one. I don't think that by doing this, that will happen. I think with all things, like just touching base again on balance between light and dark and good and evil, if you will, I think if you set about to do things in a certain positive way, and you're not trying to maybe monopolize on somebody's misfortune, if you will, or something like that, I think that if there are spirits, they will sense that about you. And by the same token, that's enough to keep you protected against something that could possibly be malevolent. Just having that confidence or willpower about you that just knows that you're okay.
And I kind of agree, and I also kind of disagree at the same time.
Okay. Go into
I
it.
do know that there are certain cases where they didn't realize what they were doing. Maybe they accidentally brought something home with them, because in some cases the spirits themselves are looking for an attachment. They're trying to attach themselves to some sort of life, something that is looking for them. They just kind of want to be. In some cases, the spirits just want to be recognized. That's why they might be causing a little bit of a stir. That's why you might be hearing those bumps at night. And I think that is a possibility that we might bring something home. Do I think we might bring home a demon, a demonic spirit, a poltergeist, if you would? No. I think it's a possibility where you might actually just be sitting at home. One of us could be sitting at home one day by ourselves, and all of a sudden you're hearing footsteps within the room around you. It's possible. I do believe in spirituality. I do believe in ghosts based off my own strange experiences, which we might discuss in later episodes. But I can't deny that there is that possibility.
So before we continue on from this, because this one's something I feel we should definitely touch base on. 100% agree with the validity of what you're saying. The other side of that is just kind of as like John was saying was, you'll notice these things more as you investigate. So maybe those footsteps you're hearing in your house were always there, but maybe because you weren't looking as hard, you never noticed until now.
And that is also a case. Maybe there could very well be spirits around you that you're not aware of. And it's not because they didn't want to bother with you, it's because you weren't looking for them. And they might be just trying to let you know, hey, I'm right here. Why are you looking? Something as simple as that. So, I mean, there's a lot of different aspects that we're trying to touch on with the angel demons, possession, because in a strange sense, these all intertwine with one another. At least in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Well, now, I'm not gonna lie. If I were a spirit and some weirdos started hanging out where I hang out usually, I know I would mess with them, because that's just who I am. Okay? If someone asked me, is there anyone in here? I would tell them no.
Is this because we mess with you at work?
This is because I mess with people on a regular basis.
Okay. Fair enough. Kind of a
That
redheaded
answered that one.
stepchild.
I think that would be hilarious. And if, you know what? If that's my afterlife, where I just get to have fun and mess with people, I mean, I don't know, that sounds pretty fun to me. Like, my dream would be to show up
To be a practical joker.
Wicked New England after the next cast is formed, when we're all gone. And when they ask, is there anyone in here? I can say into the spirit box, Yamada. That's it.
Things just got really awkward in here.
It's only awkward if you make it awkward.
Back to the topics at hand.
Guys, this is where I'm going to kind of turn it over to you guys, and then I'll let you guys talk, I'll say my opinion of what you guys have to say. Before we actually get into that question, though, I was born and raised Catholic. I don't practice my religion. I honestly, personally, don't feel a religious aspect or a connection to church. In that sense, it doesn't make me an evil person. It doesn't make me a bad person.
Blasphemer!
But your thoughts on different religions views on angels and demons.
All right, so actually, this is a kind of a perfect time to kind of go into all this, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so.
So yeah, when you think about demons, I guess what do you think of? Do you think of assuming, let's say, you get to a point in life where you find out that they exist definitively, where you now believe they exist? Are you going to believe in the philosophy of the Christian concept of demons? Are you going to believe in a different concept of demons, if you will? You know, do you believe that Satan would be the highest demon, the devil himself, right? Or are you with more along the lines of Asmodeus being the king of all demons and Lucifer actually being a lower level demon in the hierarchy of demons, if you will?
You know, I think if I found definitive proof that demons are real, probably want to go to, you know, nicer haunted locations, deal with some nicer ghosts, make this more of like a Ghostbusters type of deal.
So you're going for the PG ghost hunt.
Yeah, you know,
Casper.
maybe I don't want to get
Friendly
it.
ghost.
If I find out that there's like definitive proof I am going to get possessed if I go somewhere. I don't
Well,
know,
just because
maybe-
you find definitive proof of a demon doesn't mean you'll get possessed.
Good point.
It's not
there.
a one to win. And for example, like if you believe in the Lesser Key of Solomon and those 72 original named demons, if you will, each of those, some of them had legions of lower demons that weren't even named. But not every demon is capable of possession. So just because you encounter a demon doesn't mean you have the potential to be possessed, depending on what you believe, of course.
Can you go a little bit more into the hierarchy of demons? That kind of.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, I mean, this obviously changes depending on what you believe in, right? I actually do personally believe in this concept. Basically, in the Lesser Key of Solomon, there were 72 demons that were named. But many of those demons commanded legions of lower demons, if you will. These are your dime a dozen, just like there's dime a dozen ghosts, if you will. I believe there's dime a dozen demons. They're basically very feral creatures at best, not capable of possession or anything crazy like that. On this world, they probably exist to do nothing more than inflict some pain, and then poof, they're gone. Right? They've done their bidding, and they're out. Now, for example, the Bible. Let's go back to Christianity for a second. They actually only named 16 demons total in the Bible. There's 72 named demons in the Lesser Key of Solomon. Only 16 of those appear in the Bible itself. So the question is too, like, do you believe it's plausible that named demons command legions of lower demons? That's another way of looking at it as well. But there's been many works back before even the publication of the Bible, if you will, that includes lore about demons. So does that mean Christianity is disputed? No, absolutely not. But people believed in things they called demons. Maybe Christians adopted the term demon and applied it to what they were thinking a demon was. But the concept of a negative being existed before that, I don't have the full list here. I didn't copy that all out because that would have taken forever. All right. But definitely all the religions do differ in the hierarchy or ranking of the demons, if you will, as well. So that's another thing to think about. Is there anything else you want to touch base on that, John? Sorry.
I found a couple of different origins of demons in my own research. So one of them, which I believe was from the Book of Enoch, which is, some people believe in it, some people don't, but demons were correlated to the souls of the spirits of the Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
I believe I'm pronouncing that correct. And so, for those who don't know what the Nephilim are, they were described as giants, and basically they were the children of angels and human women. And so, from that crossbreeding, I guess you could say, came the Nephilim, and they were giants. And according to some texts, that's what God was trying to destroy when the Great Flood happened. So their spirits became the demons, according to some texts. I believe that was the Book of Enoch. Now, another origin that I found was that it goes back to the Paleolithic era. And so essentially that came from humanity's curiosity and fear of the unknown. So an example would be lightning strikes in a forest, starts a fire, a demon caused this. Now, they probably wouldn't have said demon because English or Greek was not used back then, but the idea could have stemmed from that. So those are a couple of different origin stories that I had found.
One more thing too, stemming back to just like if you believe or don't believe. So depending on if you believe in Christian concepts, so one of the devil's plans, if you will, is to always prove that God doesn't exist. So could that be why maybe we see more demons than we do angels? There's more of documented cases of demonic activity and negative activity than there is necessarily documented miracles or people witnessing angels. So could it be that maybe angels are possibly more humble, for lack of a better word, and don't need to be seen, whereas part of the devil's plan is to have you see these devils so you don't believe that God is there?
That's an interesting take, because I feel like for me, proof of bad would almost prove good to me,
If you believe in balance.
right?
Not
For
everybody
me,
definitely believes in the case of balance.
balance is key. I mean, I'd be falling over without it.
Same thing with demons and angels, right? Like going back to the beginning on this conversation. Do we believe people can't understand why other people just do bad things? Or is it that there's demons and devils responsible for the most negative things that happen in this world? I guess that's another one that leaves questions, right? As opposed to answers. But I think we pretty much have an understanding of which way all of us are leaning at this point on that. So now I think is a good time we can actually parlay into angels a little bit more.
Before we do, though, I'd like to ask, and it's just listening to what you guys were talking about, this question kind of popped into my head just now. Greek mythology.
Mhm.
You have not so much, to my knowledge, of like a definitive angel aspect or devil aspect. Instead, you've got the gods. And what you were saying about the demons and possession and like intermingling kind of with other beings, and that's kind of what the gods did. Zeus is the father of Hercules. Hercules' mother was a normal human, for that matter. So is it potential that, in a strange sense, what the Greeks thought of as gods were kind of demon-esque aspects? When you look at all the gods in total, with Zeus, Poseidon, different aspects. I'm just curious, guys.
Well, I would say, when monotheism became more popular, that might not be the right choice of words, but
It's widespread use.
widespread,
Yeah.
Sure.
right? It seems like you see more angels rather than, of course, with monotheism, you're not going to see more than one god. So that might be where the idea of angels came from, where instead of being different gods controlling different things, for example, Zeus, god of thunder,
Yes.
Yes.
you have angels who do the one god's bidding. that's where you see that split, at least in my own research.
No, I honestly can't remember all the gods' names in Greek mythology, but I do know there was god of war, goddess of love. So I mean, when you look at those different aspects, I think there might be a correlation there, definitely. Going on to our next question, and this is just a random one. What movie gave you the willies?
This is a break in the middle of the show. But great question. Great question. All right, so are we talking about like to this day, or are we talking about like the first movie that gave us the chills, or the willies?
You know what? I'll say both.
Okay, because obviously sometimes you all have that movie when you're a young child. Maybe it's your first horror movie, maybe it's not, but you got that one that just kind of sticks with you. Then maybe you go back and watch it again as an adult and be like, "What? This scared me." You know what I mean? For me, it's actually Witchboard. Lesser known, I would say. If you're a horror fan, you probably know it for sure, but most people don't maybe know about it. It came out in, I believe, 1986. Starred Tawny Kitaen. I can't remember the other guy. But basically, it's about a Ouija board, and someone gets snookered in, if you will, by progressive entrapment. You're convinced to use the board, and then the spirit inhabits them, and so on and so on. But there's one scene in particular which I watch it now as an adult and I laugh because it's cheesy as hell. But picture yourself about like 5-6 years old. You know, you're up all night watching horror movies with cousins. It's like 2-3 in the morning. You're half asleep. So this lady's in the hospital. Basically, she's in a dream sequence, but you don't know that. And she's walking around the hospital, and she turns around, and the thing appears in the hospital freaking window holding an axe. It takes her freaking head off. All right, so it made me jump. Classic jump scare. That one always gave me the willies, but it's actually one of my favorite horror movies now. I go back. It's cheesy as hell, not scary at all, but definitely the first one that gave me the willies. Anyway.
You know, I can't think of a movie that specifically gave me the willies.
You looked in the mirror.
Well, that scares me every day.
This is my joy working with these guys. They always crack me up.
I will never forget. Set the scene. I was in 5th grade. I was so excited. My buddy's birthday was coming up, so we were going to have a sleepover. Just me and 2 of my other friends. The birthday boy himself picked out The Shining to watch.
Nice.
So I was so excited. This was
Good
gonna be the
movie.
first time that I watched The Shining.
Ooh, first time.
Super excited.
That's even better.
Now, I had always heard The Shining's a horror movie, so I was excited. I'm gonna be so spooked, you know. I had my nice nice blanket, you know, sitting on the floor looking up at the old TV, and I wasn't scared at all. But one part just rubbed me the wrong way. Now you might all remember this. The guy in the dog costume. That freaked me out. That was the only thing in that movie that freaked me out. Wendy's running away from Jack. Jack isn't scaring me. Here's Johnny. Thought that was pretty cool. I'm John. People call me Johnny. But that guy in the dog costume, hell nah. I do not like that. But what I will say is, now I know it's coming.
Let me ask you this. You're stranded in a mountain resort. No one can come get you. You're running out of food, miles away from anybody. You're an alcoholic that's recovering. You desperately want that drink. Lloyd's ready to pour you a drink. You gotta kill your family. What are you doing? You staying sober?
Well,
Or is
I'm not
Lloyd
an alcoholic.
Or is Lloyd pouring you the... No. You're in the scenario. In the scenario, you are a full-blown alcoholic. Hands down, you get the shakes every day. You need that drink. You killing your family? You letting Lloyd pour you that bourbon?
I really hope I wouldn't. Okay?
I don't sound convinced because I'm not.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I really hope I wouldn't, but I don't really know how to get into that headspace because I'm not an alcoholic. You know?
Well, let's just hope you have stronger resolve if we ever encounter a demon.
I'd be more so afraid about you guys.
I have very strong willpower.
No, more so in like the scenario.
In that scenario?
Because if Lloyd goes and offers you a shot of Buffalo Trace,
Oh God, it's Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
It's
we're
not-
dead.
I'm sorry. I'd probably take you both out tough for that.
I mean, Buffalo
It's-
Trace.
But I will say this: I'm not dressing up as a dog.
What's that have to do with me putting my axe into you?
Shining. That was the one thing that freaked me out. Brother, you're old, but you ain't.
Give me
that
the
old.
bat, Wendy. Give me the bat.
Anyway,
All right, Anthony, how about you? You got a movie that gave you the noise?
yeah, there is, but I will have to say, The Shining. But one thing that kind of freaked me out about that movie would probably be the twins in the hallway.
Actually, before we move on from The Shining, let's stay with
But
this.
I want to.
wanted
We
to
have to
play.
stay with. There's a lot of interesting
Let's
scenes
stay with
that
this.
might give you a little bit, but
Have you seen either of you the remake?
no, I
It's
haven't.
a mini series. It's 6 hours long instead of 2 hours long.
No.
I have.
Overseen by Stephen King. Shows a lot more of the book.
Did you read the book? Either
Yes.
of you?
Yes.
I've never read the book.
I
It's, in,
liked
it's
the
in the
book a lot.
library over there.
Oh, I can't see the library.
It's behind the
Sorry, guys.
curtain.
I loved the book. I liked the movie quite a lot. I mean, that was a great movie. But the book is something special.
The miniseries has a lot more that the movie didn't offer.
This is kind of an aside, but the first Stephen King book that I ever read was Misery.
Jesus.
And I will never forget the reason why I knew I needed to keep reading Stephen King was because I got to the end of a chapter and then I realized that I was sitting propped up like this on my my armchair, completely hunched over, reading the book, and I just had no clue until I got to the end of the chapter and I just completely unfolded. Oh, what's going on here?
You had kinked up every muscle. You had more knots in your body than you even knew you could get. No, I've never read the book. I know of the TV series that is 6 hours long, but no, I haven't seen that either. I've only seen the actual movie.
I own it.
We might be borrowing that. We might binge watch it one weekend. Who knows?
It might be a group watch activity. I
Wicked
think
New
I
England
like
movie?
Wicked New England movie night. I like it.
I'm game. For me, change this up back to the topic. For me, I would say it was probably The Exorcist, the original.
Solid choice.
Especially under the
Great
circumstances where we're talking angels, demons, demonic possession, and a true battle with good and evil. That movie always just gave me the heebie-jeebies, and it's a fantastic movie. But even to this day, I always get that shiver down my spine in certain spots.
I watch it
I
like
don't know
every
why.
other month.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I do. I do. I definitely have a repeat playlist, if you will, folks, where I just don't really get sick of certain movies, and so I just watch them a lot. And I'm not going to defend myself for that because, you know what? It's okay.
It is okay.
It's okay.
This is a safe place to be, Andrew.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, Exorcist is a great movie, though, for sure. Old ladies throwing up in the aisleways at the movies, not just a publicity stunt.
Yeah,
Definitely-
and they actually had, like, when that movie was released, they actually had ambulances. People were
Yes.
getting taken out of theaters.
people just weren't used to stuff
And
like that. in
not to
cinema.
mention, if I'm not mistaken, the production didn't think the movie was even going to make any money.
But prior to that, actually, though, I think Todd Browning's Freaks actually had similar reactions.
Oh wow.
And that was back, 1950s, 1930s, something like that. Sorry if I screwed up the date on that. I don't actually have the date on the top of my head, but definitely the land of black and white way back. So, but definitely one of the more creepier horror movies of its day. And it also had some adverse reactions in the cinema as well.
Now, I've only got one more question, but before I ask that question, do you guys have anything else you want to discuss regarding this topic?
I mean, I definitely want to touch base on a couple of things with angels as far as like the differences in certain religions. So one of the things most people when they talk about angels and demons, if you will, let's talk about Satan, right? Let's talk about Satan didn't want to be regarded as less than the humans, right? He believed that the angels should be on a pedestal above the human beings, if you will, whereas God thought differently, and
Well, Satan actually
treasure
believed, depending on the culture, Satan actually believed he was better above God. If I'm not mistaken, the story on that is he actually built a throne of his own and placed it above God's. So,
yes, but that was in response to God's positioning of the human
yes.
beings. However, fun fact, so in Christianity we have that. In Judaism, angels are actually considered to be inferior to humans because angels don't exert free will. Angels are followers of God and therefore follow the message, whereas human beings have a choice to make, if you will, about how they go throughout their day-to-day life. That's an interesting look. And in Zoroastrian beliefs, they believe that every single human being on this planet has their own personal guardian angel. And by token to that, though, they don't really touch base on this, or not that I was able to find out in my research, but if every human being has a guardian angel, could it be true then that maybe the whole devil on your shoulder, angel on your shoulder thing has some truth? If it comes from that belief, that Zoroastrian kind of belief, if you will. But almost every religion that I looked up unanimously agreed that they are governed by a god or a religious deity, if you will, the angels, or whatever they refer to as holy beings in their case. Not all of them think of the traditional, halos and wings and cherubs and things like that. But every religion pretty much has a negative being and a positive being, if you will. So there's definitely some differences to that. And then the only other one I could find that was slightly different too, which we didn't actually touch base on this, but Islam believes in angels, believes in demons, but then also believes in the presence of a third supernatural being, the jinn. So that could be a fun topic to maybe go into, some lore and discussion on a future episode. I did find that fascinating, just because, everybody else has angels and demons and they have +1, right? So they got that +1 to the party. Makes it kind of interesting. So, like I said, believe what you want. Doesn't matter what religion you practice, or if you don't practice a religion at all. That's up to you. But it is interesting that they all similarly agree on a positive and a negative being, which I guess convinces me more than what I believe is a possibility. Not that it's defined truth, but that it's possible. That my gut feeling is correct. So let's continue. I mean, what else did we want
You
to
got
discuss?
anything on that? No?
I'm ready
All
for
right,
the question.
my last question. Do you believe in the possibility, under the circumstances where in certain religions where God renounced Lucifer to earth, live in hell, or brought down from the heavens, do you think that there might be an alien connection with all this? An alien connection in the sense that maybe the godly beings of an alien sent the cast downs to earth, and we might be ancestral backgrounds to alien cast outs. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, we do plan on investigating aliens or discussing that topic in a podcast at some future date, so please stay tuned.
And along with that, in the comments below, if you're definitely interested in seeing something like that, please let us know. And also, if there's a specific topic you'd like us to bring up and research and discuss, we're always looking for new ideas. Definitely not opposed to deviating from the scheduled path, if you will, and researching something different. So throw some curveballs at us. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that possibility of an alien background?
I think that's a very interesting idea. Like, if you subscribe to the Anunnaki theories,
Mm-hmm.
that's where a lot of that similarity happens. Where I don't know the whole story, but I've seen some videos. I used to love Ancient Aliens too, but more so for fun. Sorry. But one of the ideas was that humans were created as workers for the Anunnaki, and some aliens thought less of us. Some aliens thought that we deserved to be free. I think it's a very fun topic of discussion. that
Yes,
we could
and
go on
I think
on.
we've also seen it in movies as well. I believe there was a movie called Stargate. They actually made a couple of movies of
And a
Stargate.
TV show, come on.
And a TV show. I wasn't
Who
gonna,
doesn't love
I
Stargate?
was not gonna miss out on the TV show. But I mean, that's basically the same story in theory. Aliens basically utilized us as slaves, and we rebelled against them, and just brings into a whole different world. And in
The demon got us again!
You will surrender. Sorry. In on that, we're actually going to close this episode of Wicked New England, folks. Some technical difficulties. This will be spliced twice. Yeah. All right. Camera kept on overheating. Maybe the flames of hell are just licking at the screen. But you'll catch us on the next one, where we're going to talk about something also on the level of paranormal, a little chill.
A little spooky.
We're going to talk about Ouija boards. So if that's your fancy, definitely tune into the next episode of that. As always, this drops every Wednesday, 10 a.m., currently on YouTube. And like and subscribe. Tell us what you're looking at. If you like it, if you hate it. And apparently we're making some people randy, because I've seen some interesting comments. So have a great day, folks. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
take it easy.